Alan Rowland, and refresh your memory, this is the second part, and we have been talking about the Bankhead family of Jasper, Alabama. We translate the name Bankhead down below that, and once again here we have the family tree. Showed this to you in the first presentation. Now where we're going to be working from here is going down the pedigree line here of John Hollis Bankhead to John Hollis Bankhead II, and all the way down in this direction here to the bottom. Hopefully I can finish that in the next 15 minutes, or we will have a part 3 with this. Now, the next individual I'd like to talk to you about is John Hollis Bankhead II, who was the son of John Hollis Bankhead I, or John Hollis Bankhead, and you can read the dates right here, when he was born, show you a likeness of him. Here, this is what he looked like. Number of photographs that are present. John Hollis Bankhead II, and likewise he was born in Lamar County, up at the Bankhead plantation, if you will, up at the James Greer Bankhead house. You can visit that today if you want. It's in ruins, as I pointed out to you during the previous presentation. And for John Hollis Bankhead II, he attended the University of Alabama, also Georgetown Law School. You'll see a trend here. Almost all of these Bankheads will attend the University of Alabama, and that's good. I like that. That's where I graduated from. He was a member of the House of Representatives, and in 1903, as a member of the House of Representatives now. That is not the Senate, but he later served as three terms as United States Senator from the Jasper area. He was active in establishing requirements for literacy tests and poll taxes in Alabama. We don't have that today, but this was, I remember what I told you during the last presentation here, folks. We cannot live in the past. We have to look at things through the eyes of that generation here. But he was in favor of literacy test and poll taxes, be able to vote. Now this obviously was designed to exclude illiterate poor whites, illiterate poor blacks from voting here. You had to be able to prove your ability to read and write, understand the Constitution, and be able to have enough money to pay poll taxes. So this is one of those efforts trying to suppress minority voting rights anyway. As I said, he was a U.S. Senator, 3 terms, 1931, 1946. He was a Democrat. He was a spokesperson for farmers, was against civil rights for minorities, a strong supporter for FDR, that's Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal, also in favor of Lend-Lease for Great Britain. If you're not familiar with that, that was a program where the United States would provide non-military goods to friendly nations in fighting the Germans and fighting the Italians in World War II. He supported the Cotton Control Act. That was a part of AAA, that's the Agricultural Adjustment Administration, which attempted to place regulatory acts, requirements upon cotton growers and those that grew 6 other products too. An effort to reduce the amount of crops that would be grown and provide farmers with government subsidies with that too. The United States Constitution ruled it unconstitutional. He was nominated in 1944. This is John Hollis Bankhead II as one of 12 nominees for the vice presidential running mate for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He did not get that nomination, and that would have been quite nice if he would have gotten that. Harry Truman, of course, was the person that did receive that. All right, as we move along with this for John Hollis Bankhead II, he was a major in the Alabama National Guard, died from a stroke at Bethesda Naval Hospital, from the Fine Hospital, it's a military hospital, at the age of 73. He's buried in Oak Hill Cemetery. Almost all of these Bankheads are buried in Oak Hill Cemetery. I'll try to show you the photographs of their burial markers in another presentation here. Married to Musa Bernice Harkins. I like that name, Musa. If you're not familiar with it, it translates to mean Moses. You can see the dates of her life anyway. And Musa was his high school sweetheart. And they had 3 children. Walter William Bankhead's proper name anyway, who was married to Emmeline Crumpton, Marion Bankhead Crow, who was married to Charles Brandon Crow, and Louise Bankhead, married Horace Davis. They also lived in that residence area of Sunset I showed you in the previous description, located on Jasper, Alabama, on 14th Street, 7th Avenue. They lived there likewise here. So he took the residence of his father. All right, now the next individual of the Bankheads is that of William Brockman Bankhead, who was a brother of John Hollis Bankhead, the brother of Marie. Here is a likeness of him right here as an adult anyway. Quite a career with this man. This is what he looked like as a young man, nice looking guy right there. Let's see here, and it gives you the date of his birth, if I can get this adjusted properly here. Born in Moscow, Bankhead Plantation, attended the University of Alabama, also attended Georgetown Law School. And notice there, when he was at the University of Alabama, he played football for Alabama in 1892. And if we look at the photograph here, this is a photograph of the football team. And we can see right here, this is William Brockman Bankhead there. Playing for the University of Alabama. And quite a legacy with that. Let's see what else here. Practiced law in Jasper with his brother, John Hollis Bankhead, from 1904 to 1914. That's kind of interesting here. Served as a congressman from Alabama and a Democrat in the House of Representatives from 1917 to 1940, and was the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives from 1936 to 1940. Some of you may have watched my video, which dealt with the funeral the Speaker of the House, William Brockman Bankhead, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt's visit to Jasper, Alabama. He was considered as a vice presidential running mate for FDR in 1940. He was not selected. Henry Wallace was selected and was the vice president in that 1940 presidential election. Henry Wallace, who was one of the most liberal individuals, he was too liberal for FDR, which is hard to believe with that too. But that would have been quite an achievement if William Brockman Bankhead had been chosen as vice president. But he was just too elderly, and FDR just pulled him aside and gently told him, he said, look, William, you're just a little bit too old for this position here. He was a strong supporter of the New Deal, pro-labor union supporter. He was married to Adelaide. They called her Ada, a very attractive young lady anyway, Eugenia Sledge. In 1900, they were married. She died in 1900. She was only, I think, 22 years of age, but she died in 1902 from sepsis, or sometimes it's referred to as blood poisoning. This is what she looked like. This was his first wife. She died at a young age 22, and subsequently he married Florence McGuire in 1915. They had two children, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. One of these anyway. The older daughter, who was Eugenia Bankhead, and she was born in 1901, and a year later her sister was Tallulah, and I'm sure you're familiar with her, and she was born in 1902. This is William Brockman Bankhead here with the two little girls. This is Eugenia here, and this is Tallulah on the other side right there, a year younger. You can read the dates of their death, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them at a later time. Another photograph here showing the two girls. Here's Eugenia, who is seated here, and we have Tallulah, who is standing there. Notice the hairstyle that she has. At that time, she was always considered to be a little bit overweight, you know. And I don't know why I told you that, but anyway, that was a part of it. Another photograph coming up here, and I thank Walgreens for this photo. They cut the top of the head off of John Hollis Bankhead, the first here. And anyway, you can see the two sisters here, Eugenia and Tallulah. That's William Brockman Bankhead, the dad of both of those. Anyway, here. All right, here's another photograph showing you Eugenia. I'll show you one of Tallulah later on in the presentation, or in the next presentation. That's what she looked like here. Now, where they lived was in the Bankhead home. This is located, I forget what it is, right off of 9th Avenue here. Can't remember what street, but 7th Street, something on that order anyway. But it's a Bankhead Heritage House. You can visit there today, and a nice place to visit. Historical marker for that very place there. Here it is, William Brockman Bankhead House in Jasper. Not too terribly far there from where Sunset was. where William Brockman Bankhead and William Brockman Bankhead second lived. Oh, and by the way, here is the, let's see, did I finish the presentation here? I did here. Here's the other brother who was the Army Colonel, which is Henry M. Bankhead. Did not pursue a life in politics, but he was a military attaché for economic affairs. And another one of the Bankheads, who was the son of John Hollis Bankhead, the second anyway, Walter William Bankhead, sometimes all the time referred to as Walter Will. This was during my lifetime anyway, born 1887 and died 1988. I can remember him. A graduate of Marion Military Institute. Let me show you a photograph of him in his cadet uniform. I was told the other day in the Heritage House that that uniform is kept there today. I did not get an opportunity to see that. This is what Walter Will Bankhead looked like as an adult. Okay, another photograph showing in 1915. This photograph was, I was allowed to take this photograph in the Bankhead house here, showing you Walter Will Bankhead in 1915. There he is there. And let's see here, what else I need to say about it. He was a businessman from Jasper, Alabama, and a congressman in the United States House of Representatives for 2 months in 1941. And that was after the death of William Brockman Bankhead. It was only for 2 months, still an achievement. He was senator in the United States Senate for 1 month in 1946. And, of course, that was after the death of his father. Death of his father, anyway, John Hollis Bankhead II. He married Emily L. Crumpton. All right, the children that they had, Blossom, you'll see that name quite often in the Bankhead family. You can read the dates here. Married Frank Cobb Jr. I knew both of those individuals. Mary and Louise. They called her Sis. And she was married to William Alexander Grant. They referred to him as Bill Grant. I remember spending many hours in that house and knew both of those individuals very well. I was friends with their 2 sons. And in fact, for Bill Grant, William Alexander Grant, he was my baseball coach. And I always liked him. He was a very pleasant individual, a World War II veteran. He was a Navy pilot. All right. And anyway, the other children were Barbara. I remember her. She married John Oliver. John Oliver, who was president of First National Bank, now Jasper. John Hollis Bankhead III. And I remember him. He was married to Martha Ann Billingsley. And almost all of the members of that family are buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. Okay, here's a photograph of the house of Walter Will Bankhead. This is what it looks like, located on 9th Avenue in Jasper, Alabama. Here's another photograph of it right here. And I was told by Barbara Meadows at the Bankhead Heritage House that she's going to soon move into this house. Notice here the big maples here. And she was telling me a story about how these maples, the buds or the cuttings from those maple trees, were donated by a Major John Pelham. John Pelham, who was one of the artillery officers for the Confederacy, that was a minor hero at the Battle of Fredericksburg. And after the war, in that area, by the way, Fredericksburg was known for its maple trees. And after the war, he was able to get a couple of the cuttings and donated it to the family. And these are the remains of the cuttings today. And that's kind of interesting there if you go by and you take a look at that. Okay, let's see. Who else do we have here? Quickly here. This is John Hollis Bankhead III. You can read the dates of his life. Married to Martha Ann Billingsley. Children, and I went to school with all of these children. Emily Bankhead, Ginger, Blossom, John Hollis Bankhead. They were all 5-6 years behind me anyway. John Hollis Bankhead IV, they called him Jack. He was in my Boy Scout troop. Like I said, he was about 5 years junior to me. John Hollis Bankhead, and by the way, let me share a photograph with you. This shows you Walter Will Bankhead over here. And if we go here, this is John Hollis Bankhead III as a young man. And here's another photograph here of the family. This individual here is Joab Thomas. He was president of the University of Alabama. John Hollis Bankhead III, Walter Will Bankhead, and then Jack Bankhead, John Hollis Bankhead IV. Right there. And that photograph I was given permission to take that photograph at the Bankhead Heritage House here. Alrighty, now that's about enough time for us here. My 15 minutes are about done here for this part of the presentation, so I'm going to move into part 3 in just a few minutes here. Thank you.